it's not a clickable link. I don't know why.
All right.
Mine appears to be clickable.
Does it end in D_KL?
It does not. It ends in share.
Oh yeah, I had that and I deleted it because it wasn't. Let me try one more time. Okay. All right.
We're working on it.
Are we ready to go?
Okay, that time it worked.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay. Now I am going to start the show. This is real high-tech stuff here, y'all. Good evening and welcome to the TalkWrite podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Sten. Actually, I was going to say just TalkWrite because we're supposed to be dropping the podcast. This isn't a podcast, it's a live stream. But anyway, we got a great show tonight. It's the first show of the fourth season, or the first episode of the fourth season of the show. And on our very first show, we had Dan Mason. And then Dan came back for the kickoff of the second season. And then he actually flew into town for the kickoff of the third season. And now he's with us live again by Zoom. So, Nick, why don't you take over and finish the introduction, and I'll do some typing here.
Okay. Well, here we are again, the triumvirate of the three bald, bearded guys with glasses. Good to be back together again. Although that distinction and comparison goes away if you actually put us standing next to each other. I would be the one here, and then Wayne's kind of here, and then we have Cap out of screen. Cap Daniels is here with us. He is the author of More Books Than I Can Count, and you can see them straining to be contained on the shelves behind him there. He has a new one out that just came out, Gambler's Chase. We'll probably ask him a couple questions about that. I just heard some really cool stuff about the next one, but I'm not going to spoil anything. And then we also have a book coming that he co-wrote called Christian Sniper, I believe, and we'll be asking a little bit about that. So without further ado, can you tell us a little bit about Gambler's Chase?
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me again. This has become a little bit of a tradition that we sort of do the first show of every season together, and I'm honored to be with you for those. It's been an exciting run for the three of us. We've sort of intermingled our careers a little bit over the last 4 years, and it's been a lot of fun. I've learned so much from both of you, and I love sharing this time with you. In addition to the personal time we get to spend together, I love sharing this time so that we can kind of share our goofery and silliness with the people who read our work. But my latest book out was The Gambler's Chase. It was the 21st in the Chase Fulton novel series. And like Wayne, early on, I had a sort of a mystique about 21 books since John D. McDonald wrote 21 Travis McGee novels. That was sort of a crown that we all feared reaching and surpassing. We'll never outright the great John D. McDonald, but it's an honor to be in the 21 club with him, that we've been able to put that many books on the shelf. So that book is doing very well. We're extremely happy with it. It was a unique story. We brought in some old enemies from across the Atlantic and across the Pacific for this one, and got to tie in a few things that we left untied in some earlier novels. But it's doing very well. If you've not picked it up yet, I would love for you to get a copy. And when you do, please shoot me an email. Let me know what you think. I always enjoy communicating with the readers when I get a chance.
Yeah, I debated when I got to that 20th book, I debated whether to continue the series. I had 10 titles that started with Fallen and 10 titles that started with Rising. And I was like, well, what do you do next? And Jesse's the only thing I know. I'm a one-trick pony. So so I really didn't have much of a choice. I begged John D's forgiveness, but Randy did it first. So whatever
Yes,
Randy does, I do. I've said that over and over again, right?
And I'm sort of the third generation of that. Whatever Wayne does, I typically do. So.
Well, Wayne, does that mean that you're going to open a rum bar?
Actually, yeah. I've been talking about opening the Rusty Anchor Bar and Grill for a long, long time. Just the opportunity hasn't come up. And right now we've been waiting for a specific restaurant to come up for sale. And it's already got some rusty anchors out in the front yard. But it doesn't look like it's going to anytime real soon. So I'm thinking maybe just buy a piece of property and build the rusty anchor exactly as it's depicted in the books. But just 600, 800 miles north.
That sounds like a great way to turn your large fortune into a small one.
One of the greats in our genre, Randy Wayne White, his main character is Doc Ford. So if you're ever in Florida and a number of places now, and you happen to see a Doc Ford's rum bar and grill, that's his baby. And hopefully a number of us will be at NINC this year in St. Petersburg. And there's at least one. I think there's two now.
There's one on the mainland in St. Pete.
And there's one near a bridge. So maybe we'll have the tropical authors get together at a Doc Ford's.
That would be really cool.
That would be extremely cool, especially if we could get Randy to come up and join us.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have any more of the Russians on the horizon?
That will be next. When I finish the Arctic chase that I'm working on now, I will start on the 5th Anya book, and that will be the Russian sloth. And I've been wondering where that was going to go, how I was going to tie that deadly sin into the series, and I still don't know, but we'll have a lot of fun figuring it out.
You could have a 3-toed sloth with it's got one of those little microchips embedded in its skin.
I think I'll make a note.
Exotic animal smugglers. Although that's something I think like Boone and Emily would be involved with, but I think Anya's got bigger things to deal with.
In my latest release, Fish On, I did a slight, I guess you call it an alluding to something that happened in Charity's past. Charity and Jesse no, wait a minute. Actually, never mind. That'd be a spoiler. That's in the new book, Liable Charity, that isn't published yet. So I'm not going to tell you what's in there.
Well, tell us, you've got an interesting project coming out. You've got a lot of very popular characters in your chase books, but I think one of them is popular enough to get his own treatment. Can you tell us a bit about that project?
He certainly has. Singer, our Southern Baptist sniper, as we call him, he sings old Southern Baptist hymns while he's killing people, which is sort of an interesting dichotomy, balancing those two worlds together. But he's become an incredibly popular character. So I decided to write a novel simply about Singer and how he applies his faith to what he does for a living and his interaction with the team around him. And I learned an enormous amount about a character that I created while I was writing this book. It's bizarre how these characters just come to life and reveal themselves to us. But we met him as a 9-year-old boy in this book and followed him through Army boot camp and Ranger school and sniper school and all the way through several operations and until it ties back into Chase Fulton novels in book 5 there. And that's been an incredible project for us. My brother Dave and a dear friend, a pastor from Ohio, John Grossman, helped me with this one, and it's turned into an amazing project that's already been a blessing to certainly all of us who've had part of it, but we can't wait to turn it loose. It's scheduled for release the end of June, but as is my typical style, I rarely wait until the scheduled date to release.
You catch me off guard so often with those.
I think we'll have it on shelves before June.
Wow.
So we hope that everybody enjoys it, and it turns into a little more than just a fictional novel. We want it to touch some hearts and souls and maybe make some difference in some lives. That this one is not a for-profit book. It's a for blessing book. And I think we're going to find some interesting things to do with the proceeds from the book. And we certainly hope that it sheds some light on some dark areas that we're experiencing in the world right now. It's fun to write a book that has the potential to do that.
Might any of your other characters?
I'm sorry, both of you were talking at once.
You've done You've done that a few times, Cap.
It's strange things wander into our writings. You and I write so much by the same technique that it's a little bit surprising when we learn things that we didn't already know about what we're writing. So many writers write with a plan or an outline, and for me, that would be drudgery. I love every new page and learning what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I'm sure you feel the same.
Yeah. Discovering what's right around the next bend. Even the characters don't know it. I don't know it. The good guys don't know it. The bad guys, nobody knows what's going to happen next.
And yet it all works out.
Yeah. I mean, something could come in from left field, an asteroid, and we don't know it until it hits. That's the magic of writing, I think.
Certainly it's the magic of writing the way we write.
Now Nick's got that whiteboard back behind him. He doesn't follow our style.
Well, he's smarter than us.
I will say that a lot of things will stay, but probably half of what I put up there, the characters pull me off of that path. There's usually some set piece things that I absolutely want to happen, but how I get there, I'll put whatever I want on those little Post-its, and it's usually not what actually ends up in the book. So I'm a plotter that's got some pretty strong pants, I guess.
Our characters don't always behave the way we want them to.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Fallen Hunter was supposed to take place entirely in the Keys and Cozumel, but most of the action takes place in Cuba.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I wasn't driving the boat. Jesse was.
The same thing happened with Gambler's Chase for me. I had no idea it was going to turn into a book about Cuba, and 70% of the book happens in Cuba.
It's funny how that one little island, well, it's not so little, but that one island down just 90 miles south of Florida, it kind of draws people like us.
It does.
Romantics. You're a romantic. I know it. I'm a romantic. And it just has that old style mystique.
It does. It's mysterious and charming, and we know so little about what actually goes on there. That gives us the freedom to write anything we want.
My friend Bradford went down there when they opened up for that short time, and he just jumped in his sailboat and headed to Cuba. And,
that's fantastic.
He said it was the adventure of a lifetime, and I'm hoping to be able to do it myself one day.
Do you still have your boat?
No, I sold it last August.
I knew you were going to sell it. I didn't know you had.
I actually sold it for more than I paid for it, and got rid of my motorcycles, got rid of all the boats, and
wow.
I'm safe to drive a pickup truck, but that's only because it's real big and people stay out of my way. But I wouldn't ride a motorcycle around here anymore. Just no, not a chance.
That's dangerous everywhere.
Yeah. Especially when you don't see well.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things that strike me as dangerous as a means of conveyance, I hear tell that pilot Cap here may be moving beyond fixed wing to rotary. Is it true you were taking classes?
Well, we're trying. Classes are sort of taking me. Flying a helicopter is an entirely different experience than fixed wing aircraft. I've been flying conventional aircraft for over 35 years, and I believed I could climb in the seat of a helicopter and prove to be a pretty good pilot. What I've proven so far is that I'm a complete idiot inside a helicopter. The only similarities between a helicopter and an airplane for me is if you crash one, you're going to die. So, and that seems a lot more likely in the helicopter to me.
Do you think the higher center of gravity inside the cockpit might have something to do with it?
I think it's the 35 million moving parts that seems to be
that are moving very, very fast.
They are moving incredibly fast. It takes such dexterity and such coordination, both hands and both feet constantly, which is so unlike conventional aircraft. But I'm having a blast, and I will finish the training, and I will acquire the rating, but it may take a little longer than I had hoped.
That would be awesome. And then you could get a helicopter and land it on your yacht.
Helicopters on sailboats don't work well.
Oh yeah, you got a point there. But
Well, you've been taking quite a few clients. I mean, I'm amazed. I think a lot of authors will go out and do one thing or two things and go, okay, yeah, I learned how to do this. You seem to be acquiring new skills to match the people in your books. Almost every few months you're doing something. Can you tell us some of the classes you've been taking or will be taking?
Certainly. I'm a huge fan of authenticity. And I learned early on, Wayne warned me of this, but I learned very early on in writing that people will bust you on the details. If you get one little thing wrong, you'll get 3,500 emails about that one little thing you got wrong. So if I'm going to write about tactical professionals and operators in the black ops world, I think I should know a little bit about the world. So I spend a lot of time at training events across the country. The next one that I'm planning to go to is a precision rifle and combat pistol course in West Texas that is being hosted by Frogman Tactical, a former SEAL who has turned teaching that type of material into sort of a ministry for himself. And that's an intriguing combination to me. We mentioned earlier Singer's connection with his faith and his tactical world. And the gentleman who teaches these classes for Frogman Tactical seems to be a very similar personality with a similar background and has a great message to share while teaching critical skills that people need to know and understand. So I'm very excited about that class. And we do a great deal of classes with tactical riflemen in Northeast Tennessee. I'm sorry, in Eastern Middle Tennessee. We do a lot up there with them. We do a lot of room clearing classes, a lot of combat pistol and rifle classes with those guys, and they're wonderful as well. But this will be my first time with Frogman Tactical, and I'll have a report on how their classes go, and we'll talk about that when I get back from that class. But I love including those details and those real stories within my fiction. I think it makes it more authentic and more enjoyable for the reader.
Do we have any questions from YouTube before I dive into something
I
else?
just switched over there and asked a question myself.
Oh,
is anybody here?
okay then.
I don't know. Is anybody even watching, Jordan?
Yeah.
How many?
10.
Oh, we got 10 people watching. So
All right. Give us some questions.
just jump right over there and join the chat.
So let me ask you real quick. I'm going to put you on the spot here. How far are you from St. Petersburg?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, about an hour and 30 minutes or so in the airplane.
Okay. So if it's looking like about 16 tropical authors descend on there in September, I think you might be able to pop over and maybe join us at a Doc Ford's.
Well, my lovely bride has scolded me aggressively for not booking our spot for NINC. So if there are still spots available, I'm going to grab one and we'll come down for that.
Excellent. Yeah, we're
Just
keeping
keep
our eyes
watching.
on that.
Watch your email, and because last year they did the same thing. They closed registration, and then sometime, I think it was in June, Nick can tell you for sure, but they reopened registration for like one day.
I remember that.
He managed to get in.
If we can grab a spot, we'll definitely come down. And even if we can't, if we get to do something at Randy's place, perhaps we can fly down for that evening and enjoy dinner together.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Sure.
Well, I know John Cunningham wants to get in if they open up too, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Good. I've not actually met him yet.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Not
See,
yet.
this could be a party.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you two were talking about how much your writing is similar. It seems, and maybe also how much you both love Cuba as a setting. Is it possible we're going to see the two of you work together on one of these tropical authors' novellas or novels? Probably be a novel with you guys.
Could
I'll
be.
let you field that, Cap.
It looks like that's going to happen. We're working on the details of that, and I think that we'll be able to get that project put together. And not only would it be enjoyable for us, but it'll be an opportunity for some readers to see how our work melds together instead of in separate books.
It will be a very difficult meld because Anya's in 2005.
She is. That makes it a little touchy.
And Charity's in present time, and the other characters that we're talking with are also in actually they're in neither time. They just not time relevant. But we came up with a way to make it happen.
Oh,
And
I like that, a little flashback.
Yeah, I think it'll be really, really cool. A little Anya and Charity pass,
Oh, very nice.
But that's going to be a lot of fun. And the maybe Anya, a retired Anya from the present, could appear in it.
Oh, that could be fun.
And actually that would be really cool, wouldn't it?
It would. I like that idea.
Let's
As
see.
long as I don't kill her off between then and now.
So that would be 18 years older,
Which is okay. She's in her 30s now.
yeah. So she would be close. She'd be slightly older than Charity now. So not completely retired.
No. And that's sort of a sneak peek into what's going to happen in the future. We don't know much about what's going to happen, but I do know that Anya is going to play a significant role later in, and of course her series as well as Chase's as that grows in number. So that'll be fun to bring them.
She'll be back in another Chase book.
Well, we'll see.
I think Penny would be pissed.
Well, probably so. Yeah. Yeah, they don't get along real well.
No, I would imagine not.
I think Penny has nothing to worry about.
If Singer's book does really well, have you considered some of your other ancillary characters getting some special treatment?
I hadn't thought of that before I wrote Singer's book, and the fun and excitement of writing that book made me want to write stories about the other characters. I don't know if I can write a full-length novel about most of the others, but we could certainly do some short stories, maybe an anthology of character backgrounds. That might be fun. That's something we've been kicking that idea around.
Well, you're just full of ideas, aren't you? Yeah.
I'm full of something.
I mean, here he is gallivanting all around the country in his airplane, going to all these shoot 'em ups and writing how many books a year?
At least 6.
6 books a year and all this other stuff. And you still working a full-time job.
Well, I still show up at a full-time job every day. I don't know how much work I actually produce, but we're getting closer and closer to retirement every day. So that will happen soon, and I'll be able to devote more time to writing and traveling and living.
I don't think you should devote more time to writing. I'll vote no on the faster. Go travel somewhere.
I like that idea.
We
can
catch
write
up.
from anywhere. Exactly.
If anyone here watched the last time we had Cap on, his narrator, PJ Auckland, informed us that he was now flying. And you have some more news on PJ's advancement toward, what did you say he was getting?
I do. He finished his private pilot certificate, and now he's working on his instrument rating. So he's learning to fly without seeing outside the airplane.
Wow.
And, last time I spoke with him about it, it was going very well, and he's thoroughly enjoying it. So he's re-fallen in love with flying that he had tucked away for a decade or so. But it's really nice to see him back in the air again. And we plan to do a trip to LA to spend some time with him for a research trip for one of Anya's stories. And we will definitely do some flying together while we are.
That's fantastic.
Well, if you fly down to Nink, I can guarantee you at least one person will want to go up with you.
Yeah, one of your offspring, no doubt.
This one sitting in front of me has been so hooked on airplanes since that day last year.
I loved flying with her.
She is just bonkers about airplanes.
It's amazing. You fall in love with it or you don't. It's one of those things that most people either have a deep passion for it or just don't care. There's very little in between.
I like riding in airplanes. I've flown a few times, and it's just kind of boring if I can't just continually look around.
Yes.
But you got to watch where you're going.
You do. There are a few things to do aloft.
Yes.
So I guess something I didn't realize, did I hear you correctly that PJ was rediscovering his love of flying? Does that mean that when I hooked you two up, he was already a pilot?
He had he was already a student pilot. He had taken several lessons, and I think even soloed many years ago. And life got in the way, and he sort of tucked the craft of flying away while he built his fabulous career on the West Coast. And after working a little bit together, I may have encouraged him to get back in the cockpit a little. And now he's discovered that early love again, and I love hearing him to talk about it. He enjoys it, I believe, as much as I do.
Wonderful. Well, Wayne and I are hoping, he's been helping me out. The union has expressed some interest, the SAG-AFTRA union that does the narrators, of coming down to NINC. And if they do so, they're probably going to bring some narrators. So if that happens, I'm going to be calling PJ and begging him to come out.
He's fantastic. Thank you so much for connecting me with him. He's really brought our characters to life and changed the way I write the series in many ways. Like Wayne says about you,
Fantastic.
I sort of hear my characters in PJ's voice now.
That's one of the coolest things about what we do. It's not so much the connections we make, but the connections that we make with others, or
Absolutely.
connections that we create for others or with others. And just putting somebody together, somebody who has a need and somebody else who has an answer, and they don't know each other yet, and just boom, put them together and watch the magic happen.
It's bizarre how much we have in common, and yet how unique each of us are, or each of us is. That we can learn so much from each other. And you taught me very early on in my career that we are not competitors, we are colleagues. And nothing could be more true about writers, in my opinion. I have never met a writer who was unwilling to help another writer. And that's a beautiful thing about our community.
Well, there is a group out there that are just absolute the worst of the worst, but we don't associate with those people.
Well, that's one of the requirements for tropical authors. We look at, do they have decent covers? Do they have a lot of books? Do they write in the tropical? But another thing is, do we think they play nice with others?
Sure.
We want people who are eager to interact with the other tropical authors and help each other out.
Speaking of which, Kirk is on YouTube, and he's saying you're going to love it when you kick that government job to the curb.
Hey, Kirk, how are you, my friend? Kirk is just down the road from me. They're, some of the time. One of their homes is in Port St. Joe. And my microphone.
I know, it's like coming toward you.
I think I'm going to leave it alone and see what it does.
Well, it might get a little pornographic if it keeps going. That was bizarre. Maybe that's something. We've been joking, everybody, that Cap works a full-time job and does 6 books a year because he's got like a twin that he has trapped in a prison cell behind these books. There's some little button, he opens it up and he goes in, give me my pages for the day.
I'm losing this battle terribly.
Although,
I'm going to work on this while you guys chat.
all right. I'll just hold it.
Melissa, you need to go to your husband's rescue. She's in the chat talking.
That's hilarious.
Okay, it's coming together. I think we can make this work.
Let's see. I have gone through all of the questions I have here. Do we have anything from the peanut gallery there?
All of a sudden, they're coming alive.
Okay.
Well, Kirk is anyway.
Kirk's got a new book out, I believe. I didn't do the newsletter this time, so I don't remember the name, but I think he's got one out now.
But no more questions.
Okay. Well.
I have something I would like to bring up.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. While you wrestle with the microphone.
I'm going to win, I promise.
Come on, Cap. You're bigger than that mic.
Yes, yes, I am. Okay. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, sounds fine.
Okay, good. All right, we won that little battle. Part of Wayne and my coming together several years ago involved a magnificent talent and a wonderful lady we all fall in love with the second we meet her, Dawn Lee McKenna. And as all of you know, we lost her several years ago, or a couple of years ago. And it was a terrible loss felt across the world of fiction. And everyone who knew her misses her dearly. There's a move afoot now to bring her Sweet Tea Press back online. And Axel Blackwell is spearheading that little endeavor. And I think they're going to release at least one audiobook right away, and then a new book that Dawn was working on when she fell ill and was unable to finish. I think Axel has spent a lot of time with that work and got it in really nice shape, something that Dawn would have been very proud of. So if you will check out Axel Blackwell on Facebook, and if you're not a member of his email list yet, please do so, and you'll get a free copy of a little book they put together. And then you'll get notified when they do release that book that she was working on when she passed. But she's near and dear to our hearts, and I always like to thank her and look up and remember her dearly. And I'm sure Wayne feels the same way.
Yeah, I'll just put the link in my newsletter this morning, so all my readers that were her readers now know where to find the mailing list. Good. And I'm really looking forward to reading this. I mean, we lost a great writer, and these will be her last words.
I was lucky enough to narrate that audiobook that's referred to. We're hopefully going to have all three of them out. The Stillwater Suspense series that Axel co-wrote with Dawn. I sort of cut
you've
my
already
teeth
recorded
on
that, right?
I've recorded it. Yeah, it's going to
okay.
go out. But I've done a lot of mystery. I think I've probably done more mysteries and thrillers than any other category. And it was without a doubt one of the best crime police procedural mysteries I've ever read. It was fantastic. Marvelous twists, marvelous characters. I was just thrilled. Talked to several of my narrator friends. I'm like, this is so good.
Axel has a background in law enforcement, so I definitely. I've read several of his books, and they're really, really good. Very to the point and factual. Just reading it, this guy used to be a cop, or maybe he still is.
But that book is called Dead Reckoning, and we're trying to put it out to as many places as possible, including they'll be able to sell it directly from Sweet Tea Press. So as soon as that audio gets finalized and we have a cover and everything, Dead Reckoning should be available soon.
We didn't discuss that beforehand, but it was something that was on my mind. And I hope you don't mind that we brought it up.
No, I had it on my notes too.
Good.
And with that, we're actually in overtime. Do we have anything else, Nick?
I've gone through my list. Do we want to give the YouTubers one last chance? Anybody there asking anything?
I'm watching it closely. Captain Boomy's just popped in. She's a delivery captain, and don't know where she is right now, but it's probably somewhere tropical and exotic.
And I try to never miss a public opportunity to thank Wayne for everything he did to change my life. Wayne and I became friends shortly after I wrote my first book, and without him, you probably would have never heard of me. So thank you, Wayne.
We would have probably 3 days later.
Well, thank you. But, I treasure your friendship.
I was in the middle of reading your first book, and I contacted Dawn, and I said, "Hey, you got to read this book. It's great." I gave her a link to the title. She said, "I'm already reading it."
I will always appreciate what you've done for me and treasure your friendship and your mentorship.
It ain't nothing, man. It's what we do. Well, with that, I don't see any more questions over here. Nope, no more questions. Okay, well, with that, unless you got something, Nick.
Nope, all good.
Oh, okay then. Well, we're just gonna end the show then. I want to thank you again for being on with us, Cap. It's always good to have you on. And we're just going to go ahead and say this now. We're going to make this an annual tradition, and
I
maybe
love that. It's on
maybe
my
we'll
calendar.
move it. Maybe we'll move it to the January 1st show. One thing I did want to talk about is what your views on this past year and the coming year are.
A great deal of thanks for the previous year. We've been blessed beyond measure. The books have taken on a life of their own, and I'm so thankful for that. And the year ahead is bright and wonderful, and we're so excited about telling more stories and getting to know more writers and more readers, and enjoy spending time with those folks who are the reason that we get to be successful. Without those guys, we don't exist. We're telling stories to ourselves, but the outlook is wonderful, and I hope the same is true for both of you.
I liked what you said last year, that it's so much fun to just play with the people in our heads. Play with the imaginary people. That's what you said. Play with the
Every day
imaginary.
we get to go outside and play with our imaginary friends.
Yeah.
How could you want more out of a career?
No doubt. All right. Well, thank you for being on, Cap. And as
Thank you.
always, Nick, thanks for being here and doing all the grunt work. All I do is just sit here and make sure that thing goes on. And all that involves is me looking over at Jordan. So thank you, Jordan, for being the producer of the TalkWrite show. And we'd like to thank Aurora Publicity, Down Island Press, Down Island Publishing, How Not to Sail. Who am I forgetting? Latitudes and Attitudes. Bob Bitchin. How you doing, Bob? And of course, Captain Boomies. She's a regular on the Bob show and also on Bradford show. So y'all have a great day and take care of each other and enjoy the summer. It's summertime, y'all. Good night, everybody.